Hey buddy, Croooow back again, and on one of my videos, somebody left a comment suggesting that I make a video of the tables I'd like to see appear in Pinball FX3, the Williams tables. And initially I was gonna say, you know what, I don't really have a list of tables I'd like to see, because I like a lot of tables, and basically anything that they'd put out, I'd play, and I'd enjoy it. But then I started thinking, you know what, maybe there are some tables I'd prefer to see in Pinball FX3, the Williams tables, over other ones. So I started making a list, and I got a list here. I was going to limit it to like 5 or 10. I was like, no, I'm just going to list, you know, I'll do this quickly. I don't know what I'll put for images, maybe just screenshots, images from Internet Pinball Database. So that's what you'll probably see, images and from there. And also, I didn't want to limit it to like, oh, this table doesn't really have a good chance of being in there because of licensing or whatever, or because it's this model, or it's, you know, maybe people wouldn't be that interested in it. This is just my own personal list of tables. I kind of went through what was already in Pinball Arcade, and I kind of was like, well, I'd like to see this one in Pinball FX3, but then I also like looked on Internet Pinball Database to see if there were any other tables, and there are only a couple that I wanted to see, you know, made digitally that weren't already in Pinball Arcade. So this list is mostly stuff that was already in Pinball Arcade. So if that disappoints you, I don't. What can I tell you? I like these tables, and Pinball Arcade did have like over 60 Williams Bally tables to begin with, and a lot of those were tables that people really enjoyed, including myself. I'd also like to thank whoever made that suggestion, but I couldn't find the comment. I was just sitting there for like 20 minutes searching through comments, and I could not find whoever made that suggestion, so I apologize. I would shout you out, but I don't remember who it was. I can't find who it was. But let's just get started here. The first thing I have on the list is Doctor Who. I like the show of the classic series. I'm not too particularly fond with the newer stuff that's coming out, but that's what this Doctor Who table is. I remember seeing this one in my Aladdin's Castle by where I lived, and the fact that the time expander, the platform on there, the fact that kind of rose off 2 levels, and during multi-ball, I really enjoyed that. So I'd like to see. I mean, that was fun in Pinball Arcade. You know, but Farsight had to do a Kickstarter to be able to put that in there. So it's still in Pinball Arcade, but I'd like to see a better version in Pinball FX3. Second on the list here, I have Funhouse. This is actually one of my wife's favorite tables, and I enjoyed it as well. I know they play it a lot in tournaments, so you know, again, that could be another reason they could put Funhouse in there. They just have to. A lot of these are alphanumerical and not DMD, so they'd have to put in new alphanumerical mechanics into the game because they haven't done that. They've only done DMD stuff so far, but hopefully, you know, a lot of these are alphanumeric Williams tables. Like the next one, Taxi. Was going to be hesitant to put Taxi on there because it's not really one of my favorites, but it does have a certain charm to it, and I know a lot of people do like Taxi, and you know, the call-outs and everything in Taxi are very memorable. Number 4 on this list, F14 Tomcat. I would really want to see F14 Tomcat. Really, at the beginning, it really wasn't one of my favorite tables, but I've been playing it more and more, and especially when it was put in Pinball Arcade. But Galloping Ghost Pinball has F14 Tomcat, and I find myself playing that one the most over there. Just the high-paced, you know, the fast-paced action in that table, I really enjoy. Plus, if you get the volume turned way up, that's just really awesome with the sound turned way up. Grade A sound effects and everything. It's just, I love the table. I want to see F14 Tomcat. Next up, I've got a trilogy of tables. I want to see Pinbot, Bride of Pinbot, and Jackbot. Personally, my favorite of the 3 is Pinbot, so I'd prefer to see Pinbot in there, and then Bride of Pinbot, and just Jackbot to round everything out, just so you could have the trilogy of tables in there. But I like playing Pinbot in real life. I just have a ball playing it, trying to get to Pluto and everything. Bride of Pinbot is more of a nostalgia thing for me, because I remember playing that at a bowling alley when I was in high school, and trying to transform the thing. But that's just a really bad table for leaderboards and everything, because you got that billion point shot, which is kind of luck based. You have to make the shot, and then it's just a wheel of fortune whether or not you get a billion points or not. Next up on the list, I got Black Knight 2000. Not Black Knight. Black Knight 2000, because of the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack in Black Knight 2000 so much. I think it's got to be in Pinball FX3. Next up, I've got a duology of tables. I wish it could be a trilogy, but we got Elvira and the Party Monsters and Scared Stiff. They have both of these tables at Galloping Ghost Pinball, and it was my first opportunity to play Elvira and the Party Monsters in real life for the first time. And I'll tell you what, the Pinball Arcade version does not really do that table justice. It's way more fun, and this is the same as true for every single pinball machine ever. Compared to Pinball Arcade, it's just more fun to play in real life than the digital version. But for some reason, it's way more fun to play Elvira and the Party Monsters in real life than it is in the Pinball Arcade version. So I'd like to see that come over. And also Scared Stiff. It's kind of an easy, it's kind of an easier table, especially the Pinball Arcade version. You play that one forever, because it's why I don't like really playing it in Pinball Arcade, because it's too easy. The game lasts forever. You gotta set yourself down a good chunk of time to play that. I'm not the greatest pinball player in the world either, and even on Pinball Arcade, I could sit there and play that one forever. I would like to see Elvira House of Horrors, but that's not a Bally Williams table. We're sticking to Bally Williams here, and that's a Stern table. But if Zen Studios does get the Stern license, hey, throw that in as well. I'd like to see that one. That table's not even a year old yet, isn't it? Next up, I wrote down Cactus Canyon, but with the caveat. I mean, Cactus Canyon was in Pinball Arcade, but that's not the version I want to see. I want to see Cactus Canyon continued, because I don't believe the official Cactus Canyon is a finished game. I think they just kind of threw that out the door. That was as Williams was kind of going out. They shut that out the door just so they could work on Pinball 2000. As evidenced by even the match credit sequence not even appearing to be completed. But Cactus Canyon Continue, I played that at Pinball Expo in Chicago one year, and it throws in a whole lot of stuff. We got a drunken multi-ball where the flippers are reversed, and you've got aliens versus cowboys thrown in there, and a whole bunch of other stuff. If they could get the rights to do Cactus Canyon Continued, I want to see that added in there. I don't remember who made the add-on for that, but again, I'm not an expert or nothing, but I just know it exists. Next up, I threw in Terminator 2. Not really high up on my list, but for me, it's just nostalgia, because I played this one a lot when I was in high school. It was in my Aladdin's Castle, and it's a good table. You know, just have to work with the Terminator licensing, which might be actually easier to do now that Terminator Dark Fate kind of tanked the whole franchise even more than it was before. Next up, I put on No Fear. I know it's not, No Fear is not the greatest table in the world, but again, it's just one of my nostalgia ones, because I did play that one a lot. I think I played it a lot when I was in the military. I think the arcade that was by the base I was on had No Fear, and I would always throw in credits on that. So that's why I'd like to see No Fear. Next up, I think this might be the oldest table I have on the list, Centaur. You know, it goes under a couple of different names. I think Centaur, Centaur 2, whatever. This is in the Pinball Arcade, but I'd like to see a newer version in Pinball FX3. I really like this table. I like trying to go for the targets in order. I like the odd multi-ball mechanic on it. The table, it looks great with the black and white features, but it's also tougher than it looks. And it's just a really tough table, and it's tough, and it's very straightforward what you should be doing in order to get the multi-balls and everything. So I want to see Centaur, you know, for the looks, for the sound effects, and the gameplay. It's got everything. Next up, I threw on Addams Family. Again, this would probably be a really tough one to get due to licensing, because you got so many licenses to go through. I mean, this was another one that was kickstarted on Pinball Arcade just so they could get it on Pinball Arcade, but I'd like to see a new version in Pinball FX3. Again, best-selling pinball machine of all time. I think that still holds true. Next up, Twilight Zone. Same issue with the rights and everything, but this is one of those tables that I think, again, another Kickstarter. from Farsight Studios Pinball Arcade to get that on there. But it's a fun table, lots of great sound effects, call-outs, and everything. So I think I gotta put Twilight Zone on my list. Next up, we're doing something a little bit different here. Revenge from Mars. This would be an interesting one to see because it's a Pinball 2000 table, wherein instead of a DMD or a regular display, they had a reflection of a monitor, a video screen on the table. They have this one at Galloping Ghost Pinball. But I would like to see a digital version of it. It'd be really interesting to see if they could do it. It'd probably take a lot of work, but don't think there's any licensing involved in that. Plus, then we'd have the sequel to Attack from Mars on there, and there's some pretty good animations and everything in there. I want to see them attempt to do something Pinball 2000. The only downside is if they do the Pinball 2000 thing, there's only one other table that could take advantage of that, and it's Star Wars Episode 1, and not particularly fond of that one, but yeah, let's see Revenge from Mars one day. All right, one other one. I was kind of grasping at straws, and I threw on here Rollergames because this one hasn't been done in Pinball Arcade, and I actually thought this was a Daddy East table until I saw it on the Williams list, and I was like, oh, that's a Williams table. I'm gonna put it on there because it's something different. It's a fun table. That's all I'll say about it. I really got nothing much. I haven't played it a whole lot or anything. I just really enjoyed it when I did play it, so I threw it on there. And the last one I have on the list here is The Flintstones. Again, this might be a licensing issue because it's based on the movie, The Flintstones movie with John Goodman and Rick Moranis. And, what was her name? Is Betty. Totally miscast as Betty. Rosie O'Donnell. But I remember playing this one a lot, and again, when I was in the Air Force. It's got that really cool bowling shot to make, and I just really enjoyed it. Last time I was at Pinball Expo, I did see this table again, and they had totally redone the work on there. So it didn't look like the movie version of Flintstones, but it looked like the cartoon version of the Flintstones. If they could possibly do that, that'd be fine too. But yeah, I'd like to see the cartoon version of the Flintstones on there instead of the movie version. But for authenticity, they should really go with the original. But it would be nice if you could flip back and forth. They could do that too. Forego the enhanced version on there. Just flip it back and forth between the live action version and the cartoon version. That's all I had on the list. Some of you I know are probably like, but you didn't include this table or that table. Some people are like, what about the Indiana Jones table? And to be fair, I played that a long time ago. I haven't seen it forever. I don't remember what that table plays like at all, to be honest. I don't know. Again, there's probably other tables out there where people are like, why didn't you include this table? And again, it's just the kind of thing where it's like, well, it's really based on nostalgia, isn't it? I mean, I don't get out there and play a whole lot of different types of pinball machines. I play what's at Galloping Ghost. I play what I have, 4 machines I have. By the way, Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Man Pinball, a Bally table. I would not recommend this for Pinball FX3. I mean, it's fun here. Okay, it's a good thing to have here, but to work through the Pac-Man licensing with Namco just to get this in Pinball FX3, I don't think it'd be that great just because of the layout and everything is really simple. I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed if it did show up. I just wouldn't put it on my list. But yeah, there's probably a lot of people. I want to hear in the comments what you want to see in Pinball FX3 that's not already in Pinball FX3. And it's got to be a Bally Williams table. I don't want to hear Data East or Gottlieb or Stern, because right now all we know for sure is that Zen Studios has the Bally Williams license, and all the rest of that stuff is in with Farsight Studios Pinball Arcade. And I know there's rumors going around that hey, there's a rumor that Zen Studios has the Stern license, but that's not fact. Okay, at this point in time, this is May 10th, 2020. When I'm filming this is not going to go up on the same day. It's not a fact that Stern, Zen Studios has the Stern license. Also, by the time I actually edit this and put this up, there may actually be a update for Pinball FX3 with the new table pack. That should have been out already, but it got delayed for some reason. So again, who knows what's in that table pack, but that may invalidate some of my selections on the list by the time I film this and actually put it up. So I hope you understand that. I mean, again, my list is just nostalgia based on what I remember. Again, there's probably other tables out there that I've completely forgotten about. It was like, oh yeah, that's an awesome table. I want to see that too, or just didn't know about, and I have yet to play for the first time. Again, it's just based on what I played and what I remember. That's how I compiled this list, and everybody on the planet that's into pinball will have a different list. That's just the way it is. So, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.